HarperCollins presents How the Wallflower Was Won by Eva Leigh, read by Zara Hampton-Brown. To Zach, who always supports me, even when I think too much. Author's note. This book contains a character with a learning disability and depicts memories and scenes of verbal and physical abuse. Chapter 1. London, 1818. Being a successful gambler meant manipulating the complex alchemy of risk, calculation, and gut instinct. In the case of the gamble Finn Ransome had made 4 months ago, however, not only had his wager not paid off, it had bitten him right on the arse with pointed teeth. Admittedly, assisting his best friend in jilting Finn's sister had seemed like a better idea at the time. Willa and Dom had been miserable in the weeks leading up to their marriage. With the help of his younger brother Kieran, Finn had prevented what he'd believed would be a horrendous mistake for both his friend and his little sister. Yet misery had followed. Estrangement from Willa had also followed, along with a ghastly ultimatum from his family, the terms of which now wrapped around his throat like an iron collar. Before Finn could consider what the hell to do about any of this, though, he had to survive walking through this disreputable tavern in the tough and gritty riverside neighbourhood of Ratcliffe. Even the rowdiest of his usual gaming hells couldn't compete with this nameless watering hole. As he carried 3 pints of dubious ale in severely dented pewter mugs toward his table in the corner, he dodged 4 fistfights, 2 men splayed out on the floor, and someone gesturing wildly with a longshoreman hook. He narrowly avoided the rusty metal point, tearing the fabric of his black silk wool waistcoat by twisting nimbly to one side. Unfortunately, the movement caused ale to slosh over the rim of a mug, and the liquid splashed across a seated patron's head. Scowling, the man rose to tower over Finn, which, given Finn's not inconsiderable height, was impressive. Ale dripped from the man's sandy hair, and he shoved his sodden fringe out of his eyes to glower at Finn. "Sincere apologies," Finn said with as much even-keeled calm as he could manage, given his current squalid surroundings, and the fact that a hulking, ale-reeking giant glared at him. "It was entirely accidental, and I'd be more than amenable to buying you a pint as recompense." "Fancy words and a pretty face ain't going to keep you from a beating," the Colossus growled. To prove his point, he brandished his ham-sized fists. "You look like a betting man," Finn said tranquilly. "I'm correct, aren't I?" His would-be attacker frowned in puzzlement. Of course you are," Finn went on. "You've the appearance of a man who enjoys the thrill of staring Dame Fortune square in the eye and challenging her to do her worst. A daring, confident man." The fair-haired behemoth glanced down at himself and fingered the button hanging from a thread on his jacket. "I suppose." "Let us make a small wager, then," Finn continued, giving no hint to any of the fear that prickled along his nape. "If you win, which I've every confidence you will, you get to pummel me into paste. But if I win, we go about our evening and part company as friends. The tiniest of bets, which I'm certain you agree to, because you're a wise and quick-witted fellow." Excellent." Finn nodded toward a patron seated alone at one of the rickety tables, bent over his mug and regarding the room through red-rimmed eyes. "You see that gentleman over there? I wager that he'll be unconscious on the floor within the next 15 seconds. Hatchet Taylor can hold his liquor better than anyone here," the giant smirked. "He ain't going no place." "So, we're in agreement." Finn set one of his mugs on a nearby table, which likely meant that one of the men seated there would drink it. But sacrifices had to be made, and held out his hand. The huge blonde man stared at Finn for a moment.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?